On Friday, the GOP-controlled House passed a bill to fund the government for the rest of the year, but that very bill denies funding for Obamacare. There is no support for that in the Senate at this point, which is controlled by the Democrats. Bottom line, if there's no agreement between the Senate and the House by the end of the month, the federal government could shut down. In the meantime, the battle lines are drawn.
The American people don't want the government shut down, and they don't want Obamacare.
They're not focused on you. They're focused on politics. They're focused on trying to mess with me.
Joining me now from Utah, Republican Senator Mike Lee, from Minnesota, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar, and here with me in studio, California Congresswoman Democrat Barbara Lee, and Republican Congresswoman from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Welcome to all of you. There is a filibuster in the Senate, thankfully not on Meet the Press. So we're going to keep this debate moving, but I want to start with a question for all of you, which is really a yes or no question. Senator Lee, is the government going to shut down?
No, we all know that the government's going to be funded. The question is whether it'll be funded with Obamacare or without.
All right, Senator Klobuchar, you think there'll be a shutdown?
No, because I believe in the end people of goodwill will come together and do the right thing and stop this political brinkmanship.
To the Congresswoman here, Barbara Lee, what do you say?
No, and we're not going to allow the defunding of the Affordable Care Act.
No, as much as the president wants to shut down, he's not going to get it.
All right, so who wants it, who doesn't want it, is it going to be shut down? But you all think somehow this is going to be avoided. Look, the question for you, Senator Lee, as one of the, if I may, the firebrands in the Senate, conservatives who are fighting to defund Obamacare, you have gotten what you wanted. You wanted to have this fight. They've had it in the House. It's now coming your way in the Senate. But I don't have to tell you, Republicans are arguing with each other about whether this is the right thing. You have members of Congress who think you have overpromised to the base. Your own colleagues that I've spoken to believe that. Karl Rove wrote this, former Bush advisor in the Wall Street Journal on Thursday, the desire to strike at Obamacare is praiseworthy, but any strategy to repeal, delay, or replace the law must have a credible chance of succeeding or affecting broad public opinion positively. The defunding strategy doesn't. Going down that road would strengthen the president while alienating independents. It's an ill-conceived tactic, and Republicans should reject it. What do you say to that, Senator Lee?
Well, ever since we started talking about the defund Obamacare effort back in July, people within the Washington establishment in both political parties have been attacking it. Right off the top, they said it can't be done. Some of them even said legally, it is not physically or legally possible to pass a bill that funds government but defunds Obamacare. Meanwhile, we've seen that all those things are untrue. We've seen that the American people are rallying around this idea. They have seen the president acting to protect big business, big unions, and other special interests, and they want to be protected too.
But Senator,
so
you don't have support in the Senate. Public opinion is running against Obamacare. That's a fact. You also don't have support in the Senate to defund Obamacare, do you?
Well, look, here's the issue. We have to ask the question, how many more people will have to lose their jobs or have their wages cut or lose their health care benefits before Congress acts, before Congress does something to protect the American people? How many more states will have to announce that premiums are going up? You know, this week we saw Home Depot announcing that 20,000 employees will lose their health care benefits. The House boldly acted this week, and I commend Speaker Boehner for his leadership on this.
But I asked a direct question.
Now do
you have support in the Senate to defund Obamacare, or don't you?
We have support in the Senate. We have all 45 Republicans in the Senate in March voted to defund Obamacare. We will keep those and add a 46th, Jeff Chiesa from New Jersey. I hope that a few Senate Democrats, particularly those from red states who are up for re-election this year, will consider joining us, because this is what the American people
Let me get everybody to sound off. Here's my question for the group, and I'll come to you, Congresswoman Blackburn, first. You remember in the 90s, the shutdown, 95,
sure.
95 into 96, the prevailing view is it hurt Republicans. Look at the bare fact at $1.4 billion in the cost of the government. The images of closed parks and furloughed workers and parts of the government shutdown was seen as a net negative for Republicans. Why would you want to go through that again?
We're not trying to go through it. We know the president wants it because he wants control of the checkbook for discretionary spending. Republicans are committing to solving the problem of all of this spending in Washington, D.C. I mean, look at what has happened with spending since this president took office. Look at what is happening with jobs, with the economy. Look at what is happening with Obamacare and the impact that $2.6 trillion of additional expense is going to have on federal spending. We want to solve the problem. We'd love to have the president meet with us instead of going to meet with Putin.
Senator Klobuchar, your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, David, I think our economy is on the cusp of great opportunity here. The unemployment rate in my state is down to 5.1%. The real estate market is turning around, and you're seeing improvements across the country, but we're not where we're supposed to be. And the last thing that the American people want right now is people playing political games, putting in poison pills, and threatening to shut the government down or default on our debt. And that's what I think we should be doing, is moving forward on the immigration bill, which reduces our debt by $160 billion in 10 years. If you want to talk about debt reduction, there's a good one right there. Moving forward on the farm bill and looking at these opportunities to help Americans get jobs. And this